Here we go, Chapter 3, Sections 1 through 3, Algebra 2 test review. Let's do it. Just says graph the given equation. So what we're going to do is add 7 to both sides. 3x equals 7, divide by 3, we get x is 7/3. Now don't get this confused with slope. This is not rise over run. This is saying go out your x-axis 2 1/3 units and make a vertical line. So that'd be right about there. I'll do my best. My drawing's not going to be perfect, and even these boxes are a little bit blurry. But so all vertical lines have x equals some number. Let's take a look at this one over here. We'll just jump to number 3. All horizontal lines have y equals some number. So that would cross the y-axis right at -2. And again, these have been kind of blurred out, so that's a little bit frustrating, but I'm just going to say that this is 2 down. So that would be right there. And that would be the equation graphed y equals -2. This is going to be your y equals mx plus b. So we're going to add 12, subtract 4x, and add 12. So we get 2y equals -4x plus 12. I'm going to divide everything by 2. And now I have it in my classic y equals mx plus b form. This is my y-intercept. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then slope is always a fraction. So down 2, right 1. Do your best job drawing it in there, and there it is. So there's your kind of introductory graphing section. Now they're going to actually have us find slope. Remember the formula, m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. I'm going to call the first one x1, y1, the second one x2, y2. If I flip these, the formula will take care of it, so don't worry about that. y2 is -4 minus y1 is -2. Be careful those double negatives. x2 is 3 minus x1 is -3. So that's actually -4 plus 2, which is -2. And then 3 minus -3 is actually 3 plus 3, which is 6. And I get -1/3. They're always going to reduce their slope. So there's the slope. Now look at this one. It says find the slope of a line containing the points 4, -1, -5, -1. Now if this jumps out at you, as it should, we have a match. This is a sneaky way of saying the equation is y equals -1. But if we plotted these points, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm plotting this one -1, we'd be able to see that it's a horizontal line. Or we'd take it from here to here and we'd understand it's a horizontal line. But all horizontal lines have 0 slope. Now if you actually plug this in the formula, x1, y1, x2, y2, you could do that as well. y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. And so -1 plus 1 is 0 over -9. Mathematically, that'll give us 0 slopes. There's a lot of ways you could solve that problem. Okay, a little different. This is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. So we're just going to plug it into the formula. y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So that's -5 from the top. That's -4 plus 6, which would be 2. And there'd our slope be for number 6. Now look at example 7. Find the slope of a line containing, and look at, we got our x's matching. So that's x equals -2. And if we remember something I said earlier, all x equals some number are vertical lines. And if you remember from class, vertical lines have no slope. But if you didn't pick up on that, you'd probably go x1, y1, x2, y2, plug it into the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That'd be -2 over 0, which this is mathematically math? No. You can't divide anything by 0. That's why it's called no slope. There's no mathematical explanation for having 0 in the denominator. This one says find the slope of this line. Now notice this is in ax plus by equals c form. And we taught during class the formula negative a over b equals slope. If you notice your equation's in this form. So we're going to go, that basically says take the opposite of whatever a is, which is 3, put it over b, which is negative 4, and then I'd get 3/4. Or you could put this in y equals mx plus b, and you'll still get the same thing. It just takes longer. We pause this a second, and here we go. Find the slope of this line. Well, we better take care of this. Distribute 8 minus 8y. For this one, I'm going to reverse it. Negative 8y plus 8 equals x, because I'm thinking about getting it into mx plus b. So I'm going to subtract 8. These cancel. I get negative 8y equals x minus 8. I got to get my y alone. So I could divide everything by negative 8, but instead I'm going to multiply it by negative 1/8, because that's going to show my slope a little bit better. So I'm going to get y equals, see that times that is just 1y. This times this is negative 1/8 x, and this times this would be plus 1. My slope is negative 1/8. It's right where the m is. Okay? This one, notice how it's kind of set up like ax plus by equals c. I'm going to multiply this by 6 just to get rid of these confusing denominators. So 3 goes into 6 twice. 2 goes into 6 3 times, but don't forget the minus. And then 6 times 1 is 6. And notice we've got it in this form right here. So we can use the formula negative a over b to find our slope. Here's my a. Here's my b. So that'd be negative 2 over negative 3, which is 2/3. So this one, same sort of instructions, find the slope. Now these two negatives will definitely make a positive, and I'm going to stick with the same program and get rid of these fractions by multiplying it by the smallest number that these both denominators will go into. 2 goes into 10 5 times, so that's 5x. 5 goes into 10 twice, so that's 2y. Don't forget to hammer that with the 10 too, so that's 10. Now here's my a, here's my b. So the formula negative a over b would be negative 5 all over 2, and there's my slope. This one's probably the trickiest one on the whole review. This says find the value of k so that the line containing the point k, comma k plus 4 and 3, 9 has a slope of 3. So we're just going to plug everything into the slope formula. For example, slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now we're going to plug everything we know into this formula. See, we know the slope is 3, so we're going to put it right here. We're going to call this x1, y1. We're going to call this x2, y2. And we're going to just plug things in where they belong. So y sub 2 is 9 minus y sub 1 is all of this. So I got to insert parentheses to make sure I subtract all of it. And then x sub 2 is 3. Subtract x sub 1, which is k. Now what I taught in class was this little rule. If fractions are equal, which these are, so are their cross products. 3 times 4 will equal 2 times 6. You see how this is just true? And so we're going to apply that rule to this problem because this is technically two equal fractions. So I'm going to multiply this way. 1 times anything is just itself, but I am going to distribute this through, so I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. So this is 9. I'm going to distribute that minus through, minus k, minus 4 equals, now I'm going to multiply this way. So I'm picturing this times this, so that'd be 9 minus 3k. And now I've actually got something that I can solve. Now I'm going to clean this up. 9 minus 4 is 5. 5 minus k equals 9 minus 3k. I'm going to add 3k to both sides. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I'm going to put my result right over here. These cancel, so I get 2k equals 4 divided by 2 divided by 2, and I finally solved for k. That's a little bit of a stinker. I mean, that's a lot going on there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This says find an equation of a line that goes through the point 4, 1 and has a slope of 2/3. Well, remember, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to put my slope right here. Here's an x, here's a y. So if I plug the y as 1 here, if I put the x as 4 here, I'll have this to solve for. So I go y equals mx plus b. Unfortunately, the 3 doesn't reduce with the 4, but oh well. This is just the same thing as 1 equals 8/3 plus b. I'm going to subtract 8/3, subtract 8/3. Basic Math 101. How do I subtract fractions? I got to find common denominators. So 1 is the same thing as 3/3. So 3/3 minus 8/3 is negative 5/3 equals b. Now I have b and I have my slope. I fuse these together. Y equals mx and then my b. And there you have it. All right, similar problem, but a little different. Notice it says find the equation of a line that goes through the point -4, 3 and has a slope of 0. Right there, you're supposed to go, aha, that's a horizontal line. And we talked about it earlier. That's going to be y equals some number. Well, if they tell you that it goes through this point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and it's horizontal, you could look at it and go, aha, that's y equals 3, and you'd be done with that one. No slope, that should trigger that if it goes through -4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, no slope means it's vertical line. And if you've been listening, that's an x equals some number. Well, if that point right there is -4x, that's my x, and this is my y, and I know it goes through my x-axis right at -4. So remember, guys, no slope is a trigger. It's a vertical line or x equals. 0 slope is a trigger, horizontal line, which is y equals. Let's move on to this one. Find the equation of a line that has slope 1/3, okay, and a y-intercept of -2/3. My goodness. This is the spoon feeder special. The two things we need to find are slope and y-intercept, and they gave us both of them. So our slope is 1/3, our y-intercept is -2/3, and yep, sometimes they can be that easy. I'm going to hit pause a second. So these videos only give me 15 minutes. There's no way I've got like a minute and a half, but I'm going to do this last problem, and then we're going to do another video for part 2. This says find an equation of a line. So we're thinking, okay, we got to find the slope and we got to find the y-intercept that goes through the points -1, 4 and -1, -5. Well, this should jump out at you, guys. And if you actually plotted these points, -1, 4 would be right there, -1, -5 would be right there. They're just giving you another vertical line. So you should be able to look at that or see that these match and go, aha, I don't need that for these. This is just a vertical line, so it's x equals -1. So that's all I'm going to do for part 1. Part 2, we'll start with number 17. See you in a few seconds.